Before we go further, let's ask an important question. Is this talk about honor and shame biblical? Isn't it the whole Bible about how Christ came to pay for our guilty disobedience? Yes, it is. But the Bible is also about how God redeems us from our disgraceful failure to honor God. Romans 3:23 says, "For all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God." It could have had said fallen short of the standard of God, but instead refers to God's glory, a term that is closely related to honor. Shame and honor are all over the Bible. The cultural world of the Bible in the ancient Near East and Mediterranean was a collectivistic culture, steeped in honor and shame. Let's look how these values show up in the Bible's story of redemption. In the garden, we see Adam and Eve live in paradise. Their relationship with God and each other was flawless and free. They were both naked and felt no shame. They were innocent, not knowing good and evil. They had no fear. But they sought honor and power for themselves and broke the only rule they knew by eating of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Adam and Eve suddenly realized they were naked and felt ashamed. Then when God came to them, Adam felt afraid. He denied responsibility and tried to shift the guilt of his action to Eve. "The woman you put here with me." Adam and Eve experienced three facets of sin: shame, fear, and guilt for the first time. These have been with us ever since. In addition to this, the prophets often point out that God acts to defend his glory and honor. He intervenes for the sake of his holy name. The psalmists cry out, "Do not let me be put to shame, nor let my enemies triumph over me." In the Gospels, Jesus constantly overturned the honor expectations of his community. He commanded the disciples not to practice your righteousness in front of others to be seen by them in a quest for honor. Instead, your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you. Whenever the religious authorities sought to shame and trap Jesus, he won his debates with them and amazed the crowd who gave him honor. He also honored those who came to him in their brokenness, disgrace, and uncleanliness, like tax collectors and outcast women. At the crucifixion, Jesus was mocked, stripped, and executed in the most humiliating way the Romans could invent. He was despised and rejected by mankind, yet he was brave and obedient. Jesus endured the cross because of the joy that was set before him and scorned its shame. Past this shame and agony, God raised him from the dead and exalted him to the highest place and gave him the name that is above every name. Jesus then grants honor to those who believe in him. The gospel itself addresses honor and shame. Paul says in Romans 1:16 that he is not ashamed of the gospel because it is the power of God. Romans 10:9-11 promises, "If you declare with your mouth Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. For it is with your heart that you believe and are justified, and it is with your mouth that you profess your faith and are saved." As Scripture says, anyone who believes in him will never be put to shame. In these verses, belief and faith make us justified and saved. But it also says that the believer receives honor. They will never be put to shame. Now that we see how honor and shame is a real and biblical concept, how do we relate to it in our own lives? Here are some questions for further discussion. What's another story from the Bible where honor and shame play a prominent role? Read Mark 5:21-34. Because of Leviticus 15, anyone the woman was bleeding touched was unclean. How does Jesus' interaction with her reverse expectations about shame and honor? Reread Romans 10:9-11. How would you explain to a non-Christian friend the promise that the one who is justified and saved will never be put to shame?